So we're in Clovis, California. We're just going to do a quick documentation of what we're planning to do here in the kitchen. First thing, hot and cold water iron pipe is yours, so we're going to leave that alone. We are going to give you two new shutoff valves, quarter turn on, quarter turn off, 3/8 half-inch iron pipe by 3/8 OD, so that'll be good. And then we're going to get you a Schedule 80 nipple PVC, unscrew this iron pipe out of here, and give you plastic, so when we come back we use all plastic construction. That's all we're doing on this side. We are going to give you one more separate stub out. So this is center window, this stud. We're going to give you another cold water stub out right here with an angle stop on it. It's going to drop down underneath the floor and go over to this wall. Now here's the clincher. When we spoke to you, we told you about just running a tubing through the floor. So underneath 3/8 or 1/4 inch tubing for the refrigerator from there to here. But we never gave you a price for putting a recessed wall box in. So we'll send you a quote for that recessed wall box if you'd like it in. We're assuming the refrigerator sits here next to the stove because there's the outlet. So and maybe that mark right there is the end. So stove 30 to 36 right next to the refrigerator. Please confirm that this is where the refrigerator sets. At a center would be about right here, so that we know where to either bring tubing through the floor if you don't want the recessed box, and if you do want the box, we'll get the box in down there. So the gas, one thing that we didn't talk about when I was here last is I remember asking, but then got ahead of myself. I believe you're going to have a slide-in stove, so it's an oven and cooktop, combined, all one unit. And so I believe that your gas line needs to be dropped down. We did ask you for documentation on all the fixtures and appliances. Just sent you out an email, so if you get it back to us, that stove, refrigerator, sinks, faucets, we sent us the tub, we have that, we appreciate that. But everything you have, that way, as we go through the documentation, we don't inadvertently miss something that pertains to plumbing. This might be fine, but once you get out of the wall, it might hit the back of the stove, or it could be fine. I just don't want to get into a place where you at finish, everything's done, you try and slide the stove in and it's sticking off the back wall a couple inches because of the valves up high. Normally it's going to sit down here about 6 inches off the floor and about right where it's at. So anyways, that would be an extra charge, but get back to me as soon as you can with that documentation. That's pretty important for the stove there. I guess there are no lights today. Let's see. Turn this on, please. And there is. So a little dark in here, sorry about that. So we're swapping things around. We were here and the owner wanted to put a washing machine over on the other side, and we'll take a picture from the other side. And what we didn't let you know is that we can't get you that box behind here. There's no way to get the plumbing in because your water lines for your tub are sitting here. So the furthest we can go, you can see there's a piece of pipe right here. The box would be sitting, might have enough room if we take off this little block of wood right here. We might have enough room to get the box in here. But if the equipment's only this wide, let's say 30 inches, you're at about 16, 20. So probably about the end of your stackable washer and dryer would be here. You might see that box. That's what I'm getting at. And I think that's what you've got laid out on the floor over there, some pencil marks. Yeah. So the box is going to kind of stick out behind it. And I don't know if you like that or not, but there's not much we can do with that. So we are tying in first to start with what's first. Hopefully we're planning on plumbing that's normal for the 60s, but we won't know until we open up the floor. So what we're going to do is get this toilet moved over. 30-inch tub goes in here, and then we were going to give you 32, but I think the day of we may revert back to giving you just the minimum 30 inches for the toilet in here. The reason being is you have just about 20 inches left over for countertop where the sink goes, and it may not be enough. So we'll measure it out day of. If we have to, we'll text you or call you and confirm that it's okay. 30 is minimum. So from side of tub, 15 to the center of the toilet. From the center of the toilet, 15 to the edge of the cabinet. And it just gives you a couple more inches over there on the countertop. So anyway, so we're just going to move the toilet over to where we're going to be. It's either going to be 45 or 46 off the wall. And then this is going to get abandoned. That T that's in there right now, we're going to get it cut. And then we're going to put our own T in there and get a trap in here for your washing machine. So we'll have to reconfigure some of the blocking and whatnot. The water pipe, we're going to abandon it in the wall right there. It's in the way. The cold is especially in the way, so we're going to have to unscrew it from underneath the floor and put some new adapters on. We'll give you a PEX lines that'll come up and tie into the box for the washing machine. And then of course that cold line for the water closet that's sitting over there right now, we'll reuse that we'll raise it up and reuse it for the cold water on the sink, and we'll pull off this hot water, existing hot water, when we move the sink over. So this sink is going approximately right there in that bay. And then of course toilet, the vent stays there, but the water comes over here. And then of course the flange will be here. And we did talk to you about putting a Moen PosiTemp valve in. Please confirm that. And the trims are great. If you decide you'd like to go with something else, let us know before Monday, because we're going to take this valve and raise it up to about 30, 31, 32, something like that. And of course that riser is getting raised up to about 6'8", as we discussed with the homeowner. And we're not going to set the tub yet. We're just going to get everything in place. You'll get a new drain assembly down here as well. When it'll be set from the back side, so we'll get that installed when we set the tub. So that's on this side. So we did want to let you know there's nothing, we have enough room in here probably to get the box in. We just received the material last night, so that AW box will fit in there, but we need documentation to see what's going to happen. And if you don't, if you don't want that peeking out, like I say, you can see here's the line on the floor, and there's where the box is going to sit. So part of that box will be sitting here, which means the water lines are probably going to be poking out right here, and the sewer line's going to be tied in. So we just can't put it here. There's no way to get a 2.5-inch pipe in a 3.5-inch wall that's already filled with plumbing, which is your tub, unless you were going to pop this out some. If you wanted to potentially, if you wanted to fur the wall out, which means bringing things out a bit, enough to get that pipe by here. So maybe a false wall back there, 1.5 inches at least, or 2 inches, something that would allow us to get the plumbing in there. Great. Otherwise, we're stuck. So that's open for discussion. If you have a framer that can frame you a wall here, and you're not opposed to losing, if you come over here and bring this out, 4 inches, 3.5 inches, which is not a real big deal, and just build a false wall here. I mean, this is pretty trashed as it is anyways. You can see everything's notched completely out. But if you gave us a false wall back here, we'd be glad to put that box in right center where it goes behind the washing machine. So probably just repeating myself at that point. We are going to demo this back. It's went up to an old swamp cooler. What we'll probably end up doing is we don't know where the pipe goes up top, so we'll unscrew this valve, put a cap on it. It doesn't need to be capped off because it won't be under pressure, but we like to put caps on things. We'll cap it off, leave it, and then we'll take this pipe out and abandon it all the way down. And so hopefully this little project goes good. But I did want to get this over to you today so you could look at it. We're going to send contracts out again in the kitchen. If you want that recessed wall box, great. We'll send you a price. It's probably a couple $100 because we've got to run PEX under the floor instead of just that rolled copper tubing that just pokes through the floor on one end and the other. So PEX underneath, we'll cut the floor, run it, strap it, get it up, get the box in. And also what we're going to do, and you don't have to use this, the way that it's going to get tied in is you're going to have a valve very similar to this, but a quarter turn on and off. There'll be 2 valves right here, and once the cabinet is set and everything's ready to go, a supply line will jump from here to the other one, which will feed the ice maker. And what's nice about that, and that we're not charging you extra, it's just a feature that we feel is important, is you can take that jumper off, run it over to a filter like an RO system or a triple filter down here to purify your water, and then you can run it up to your sink, and also that filtered water will go over to your refrigerator. So that's kind of nice, and just a byproduct of the way we're going to plumb it. So any questions about the video or anything else? And again, okay, and over here the gas line, if we have to bring this down here, just a nominal charge. I mean, it's just turn the pipe a little bit, drop it down, and stub it out where it needs to go, but not a big deal. And then we did give you our appliance guys information. We won't be doing any finish on here. And you'd asked about setting the valve, and we can, but usually our appliance guy comes out and he sets the valve, he sets the appliance connector, he gets the anti-tip device down here on the floor mounted so that your stove doesn't fall over when you're using it, everything like that. So connect with him and see if there's not even a charge for doing stuff like that. He's just a great guy. If you'd like us to set it, just let us know. We'll go ahead. But it's got to be repiped down. We'll need just a little bit of money and a little bit of time. Not much at all. So hopefully that's good. Everything else here, we just wanted to come by and make sure we're very familiar before we show up with material on Monday, and that we're both expecting the same thing, from each other. Otherwise it would be in person, with a contract, walking through and doing the same thing I'm doing right now. This is what we said. Is that what you understood? Is that what we, interpreted as? Because we've ended up in jobs when we got done, and they said, no, that's not what you said. And then it gets messy after that. We don't like to do that to people. We just want to make sure that we're on the same page. So, and we're not going to gouge you. Don't worry about it. If you're concerned about the ice box and the gas valve over here, we're not going to gouge you. We're not going to get greedy here. It's a nice little project, and we'll take care of it for you. So don't let that alarm you, but I did need to point that out. Anyways, we're going to get going, and outside of that, this inspection is done.